Hello and welcome. This video is going to be my review of the Farseer Trilogy by Robin Hobb. Robin Hobb being one of those authors who is so good at writing characters with depth, with emotion. She's good at giving us, the readers, deep emotional attachment to her characters so we care what happens to them. And her world of the realm of the Elderlings is one of fantasy's most well-known and well-loved series out there. The realm of the Elderlings is made up of smaller series, most of them being trilogies, and this one comes first. There are other reading orders you can go in, but this is generally accepted as the beginning of the story. The three books are Assassin's Apprentice, Royal Assassin, and Assassin's Quest. This is not a series for the faint of heart, nor is it a series for people who really need things to go well for the characters they love. Robin Hobb is one of those authors that gives us characters with real personality traits. They feel like real people. Some of her characters are my favorites and my most hated. I know there's a lot of people who feel the same way, but things don't always go well for those characters. Robin Hobb is very good at pulling our heartstrings, if not even pulling our hearts clear out. The Farseer Trilogy starts with Assassin's Apprentice and focuses on the character Fitz. Fitz actually means son of. So normally you would call somebody Fitz something, whoever they're the son of, but Fitz doesn't get to be called son of anyone yet. And calling someone just Fitz, son of ... son of nothing, son of no one, is the same as calling someone bastard. And he gets called that a lot. Some people just call him bastard as though it's his name. Some people very derogatorily, or they just call him Fitz. As a very young boy, Fitz gets dropped off by his mother's father to people who serve the king. He doesn't want to take care of this little boy, so he takes him to his father's people, his father being Chivalry, the king in waiting. And as this little boy, this not prince, enters royal life, he changes things. He unknowingly changes the whole political future of the kingdom. And when he finally gets noticed by his grandfather, the king, he starts training as an assassin secretly. There are other things in his life that are secret, some that are not so secret. And from a very young age, Fitz has to learn to keep the different areas of his life separate, including some of this world's types of magic. The world of the realm of the Elderlings has more than one type of magic, although over this series you'll notice that there's a lot of similarities between the different types of magic. Some of them are very well accepted by the general populace and some not so much. And over the course of this series, Fitz has to find a place for himself. He's part of the royal family, technically. He doesn't fit in to the family as he would if his birth had been legitimate. There are people who hate him so greatly that our hate as the reader gets to be put on to these other characters who are hating our main character that we're reading about. And I think from the beginning to the end, it starts with Fitz being about 6 years old and ends with him in his upper 20s, the middle book being more his teenage years. So we never see him grow old, but we see his transition from childhood to teenagehood to adulthood and all the trauma he has to go through and all the decisions he has to make, all the things that he thinks he's gaining and then losing. Following the character Fitz is a huge emotional journey. Because Hobb is so good at pulling those heartstrings and making you feel emotionally invested, I will admit that by the third book, I was having emotional fatigue. I was starting to feel like it was hard to care about Fitz anymore by the end because it had just been such that emotional, I don't know, instead of like highs and lows, it was mostly emotional lows, which if you read a lot of grimdark fantasy, this series is very tame. If you're used to a lighthearted, fun style of fantasy, this is going to seem heavy in comparison. There is a lot of introspection, which when I'm reading a book, I kind of like. I like being able to see into the characters' minds and really know what's going on inside their head. There's a lot of character building. There is a good, decent amount of world building, which I think is really great being this first trilogy in a wider series. I'm currently on the Live Ship Traders Trilogy, which is the one that chronologically comes next. You can read Live Ship Traders without having read the Farseer Trilogy, but having read it first, knowing the world and some of the magic, I can kind of make some connections like, oh yeah, I remember that from that other book. I can feel like it's in the same world. So those world building details from the first book are just a good strong base for the books that follow. The setting of this trilogy is the Six Duchies. It is a coastal town. There is a lot of seafaring trade and river trade. And those six duchies didn't used to be connected into one kingdom. The Farseer line has kind of drawn those together into one. And there's a lot of political intrigue and stuff that goes along with six separate duchies trying to be combined into one kingdom. And Fitz is caught in the middle of all that. And though Fitz is very young in the first two books, I don't think I would consider this series to be a young adult series, the way we often think about it, which is very young teens often reading young adult books. I would say this is geared towards more young adults, or adults of any age, but I don't think it's geared towards young teens or kids. There is some dark stuff that I wouldn't want my kids to read about yet. Mine are too young anyway, but appropriate content at the appropriate age. Overall, I think it is a very well done series with very well done characters. I think it's a wonderful starting point for the longer series as a whole, and I hope you try it out for yourself and see whether you love it or hate it. If you do read the Farseer Trilogy and enjoy the characters, I do have character studies for Fitz from each of the three books. I am currently reading the Live Ship Traders Trilogy, so if you read this series and want more Robin Hobb, that would be a good place to continue on. You can also skip Live Ship Traders and move on to the next trilogy with Fitz, or The Fool. I don't remember what's next from there. If you enjoyed this review, subscribe here and come back to this channel for more bookish videos in the future. And I'll see you next time. Bye.